Well, good morning. This is Kent Blaylock with SDG Bible Study coming to you on this February 28th, 2025. That's the SOLI DEO GLORIA Bible Study. And today is a special day for me. This is my 59th birthday today. So I'm getting ready to start my 60th trip around the sun. So today's my birthday as well as my twin brother Keith, who's a missionary in Bulgaria. Happy birthday to my brother Keith. And we're just excited to be able to have another year behind us and another year ahead, and exciting to be reading God's Word this morning. We will be continuing our reading from Paul David Tripp's devotional Everyday Gospel. We're going to be in two chapters this morning in the book of Deuteronomy, chapters 3 and 4, and then the devotional reading. So join me as we read God's Word together. Chapter 3 of Deuteronomy. Then we turned and went up the road to Bashan, and Og, king of Bashan, with all his people, came out to meet us in battle at Idri. But Yahweh said to me, "Do not fear him, for I have given him and all his people and his land over into your hand, and you shall do to him just as you did to Sihon, king of the Amorites, who lived at Heshbon." So Yahweh our God also gave Og, king of Bashan, with all his people over into our hand, and we struck them until there was no survivor remaining for him. And we captured all his cities at that time. There was not a town which we did not take from them, 60 cities, all the region of Argob, the kingdom of Og in Bashan. All these were cities fortified with high walls, gates, and bars, besides a great many unwalled towns. And we devoted them to destruction, as we did to Sihon, king of Heshbon, devoting to destruction the men, women, and little ones of every city. But all the animals and the spoil of the cities we took as our plunder. Then we took the land at that time from the hand of the two kings of the Amorites, who were beyond the Jordan, from the valley of Arnon to Mount Hermon. Sidonians call Hermon Sirion, and the Amorites call it Senir. All the cities of the plateau, and all Gilead and all Bashan, as far as Salakah and Idri, cities of the kingdom of Og in Bashan. For only Og, king of Bashan, remained of the remnant of the Rephaim. Behold, his bedstead was an iron bedstead. It is in Rabbah of the sons of Ammon. Its length was 9 cubits, and its width 4 cubits by ordinary cubit. So we took possession of this land at that time, from Aroer, which is by the valley of Arnon, and half the hill country of Gilead and its cities I gave to the Reubenites and to the Gadites. And the rest of Gilead and all Bashan, the kingdom of Og, I gave to the half tribe of Manasseh, all the region of Argob. Concerning all Bashan, it is called the land of Rephaim. Jair, the son of Manasseh, took all the region of Argob as far as the border of the Geshurites and the Maacathites, and called it, that is, Bashan, after his own name, Havioth Jair, as it is to this day. And to Machir I gave Gilead. And to the Reubenites and to the Gadites I gave from Gilead, even as far as the valley of Arnon, the middle of the valley as a border, and as far as the river Jabbok, the border of the sons of Ammon. The Arabah also, with the Jordan as a border from Chinnereth, even as far as the sea of the Arabah, the salt sea, at the foot of the slopes of Pisgah on the east. Then I commanded you at that time, saying, Yahweh your God has given you this land to possess it. All your men of valor shall cross over armed before your brothers, the sons of Israel. But your wives and your little ones and your livestock, I know that you have much livestock, shall remain in your cities which I have given you, until Yahweh gives rest to your brothers as to you. And they also possess the land which Yahweh your God will give them beyond the Jordan. Then you may return, every man to his possession, which I have given you. And I commanded Joshua at that time, saying, Your eyes have seen all that Yahweh your God has done to these two kings. So Yahweh shall do to all the kingdoms into which you are about to cross. Do not fear them, for Yahweh your God is the one fighting for you. I also pleaded with Yahweh at that time, saying, O Lord Yahweh, you have begun to show your slave your greatness and your strong hand. For what God is there in heaven or on earth who can do such works and mighty acts as yours? Let me, I pray, cross over and see the good land that is beyond the Jordan, that good hill country and Lebanon. But Yahweh was angry with me on your account and would not listen to me. And Yahweh said to me, enough, speak to me no more of this matter. Go up to the top of Pisgah and lift up your eyes to the west and north and south and east, and see it with your eyes, for you shall not cross over this Jordan. But command Joshua and strengthen him and encourage him, for he shall go across at the head of this people, and he will cause them to inherit the land which you will see. So we remained in the valley opposite Beth Peor. Now to chapter 4. See now, O Israel, listen to the statutes and the judgments which I am teaching you to do, so that you may live and go in and take possession of the land which Yahweh, the God of your fathers, is giving you. You shall not add to the word which I am commanding you, nor take away from it, that you may keep the commandments of Yahweh your God, which I am commanding you. Your eyes have seen what Yahweh has done in the case of Baal Peor. For all the men who walked after Baal Peor, Yahweh your God has destroyed them from among you. But you who clung to Yahweh your God are alive today, every one of you. See, I have taught you statutes and judgments, just as Yahweh my God commanded me, that you should do thus in the land where you are entering to possess it. You shall keep and do them, for that is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the peoples, who will hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what great nation is there that has a God so near to it as is Yahweh our God whenever we call on him? Or what great nation is there that has statutes and judgments as righteous as this whole law which I am setting before you today? Only keep yourself and keep your soul very carefully, lest you forget these things which your eyes have seen, unless they depart from your heart all the days of your life, but make them known to your sons and to your grandsons. Remember the day you stood before Yahweh your God at Horeb, when Yahweh said to me, assemble the people to me, that I may cause them to hear my words, so that they may learn to fear me all the days that they live on the earth, and that they may teach their children. And you came near and stood at the foot of the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire to the very heart of the heavens, darkness, cloud, and dense gloom. Then Yahweh spoke to you from the midst of the fire. You heard the sound of words, but you saw no form, only a voice. So he declared to you his covenant, which he commanded you to do, that is, the 10 Commandments. And he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone. And Yahweh commanded me at that time to teach you statutes and judgments, that you might do them in the land where you are going over to possess it. So keep your souls very carefully, since you did not see any form on the day Yahweh spoke to you at Horeb from the midst of the fire, lest you act corruptly and make a graven image for yourselves in the form of any figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any animal that is on the earth, the likeness of any winged bird that flies in the sky, the likeness of anything that creeps on the ground, the likeness of any fish that is in the water below the earth. Unless you lift up your eyes to heaven and see the sun and the moon and the stars, all the host of heaven, and be drawn away and worship them and serve them, those which Yahweh your God has apportioned for all the peoples under the whole heaven. But Yahweh has taken you and brought you out of the iron furnace from Egypt to be a people for his own inheritance as today. Now Yahweh was angry with me on your account and swore that I would not cross the Jordan, and that I would not enter the good land which Yahweh your God is giving you as an inheritance. For I will die in this land. I shall not cross the Jordan, but you shall cross and take possession of this good land. So keep yourselves, lest you forget the covenant of Yahweh your God, which he cut with you, and make for yourselves a graven image in the form of anything against which Yahweh your God has commanded you. For Yahweh your God is a consuming fire, a jealous God. When you become the father of children and children's children, and remain long in the land, and act corruptly, and make a graven image in the form of anything, and do that which is evil in the sight of Yahweh your God, so as to provoke him to anger, I call heaven and earth to witness against you today, that you will surely perish quickly from the land where you are going over the Jordan to possess it. You shall not prolong your days on it, but you will be utterly destroyed. And Yahweh will scatter you among the peoples, and you will remain few in number among the nations where Yahweh drives you. And there you will serve gods, the work of man's hands, wood and stone, which neither see nor hear, nor eat nor smell. But from there you will seek Yahweh your God, and you will find him, for you will search for him with all your heart and all your soul. When you are in distress and all these things have come upon you, in the last days you'll return to Yahweh your God and listen to his voice. For Yahweh your God is a compassionate God. He will not fail you, nor destroy you, nor forget the covenant with your fathers, which he swore to them. Indeed, ask now concerning the former days which were before you, since the day that God created man on the earth, and inquire from one end of the heavens to the other. Has anything been done like this great thing, or has anything been heard like it? Have any people heard the voice of God speaking from the midst of the fire, as you have heard it and lived? Or has a God tried to go to take from himself a nation from within another nation with trials, with signs and wonders, and with war, and with a mighty hand, and with an outstretched arm, and with great terrors, as Yahweh your God did for you in Egypt before your eyes? To you it was shown that you might know that Yahweh, he is God. There is no other besides him. Out of the heavens he calls you to hear his voice, to discipline you, and on earth he calls you to see his great fire, and you heard his words from the midst of the fire. Because he loved your fathers, therefore he chose their seed after them, and he personally brought you from Egypt by his great power, dispossessing before you nations greater and mightier than you, to bring you in and to give you the land for an inheritance, as it is today. Know therefore today, and take it to your heart, that Yahweh, he is God in heaven above and on earth below. There is no other. So you shall keep his statutes and his commandments, which I am commanding you today, that it may go well with you and with your children after you, and that you may prolong your days on the land which Yahweh your God is giving you for all the days. Then Moses set apart 3 cities across the Jordan to the east toward the sunrise, that a manslayer might flee there who slew his neighbor without premeditation, not hating him previously. So he shall flee to one of these cities, that he might live. Bezer in the wilderness on the plateau for the Reubenites, and Ramoth in Gilead for the Gadites, and Golan in Bashan for the Manassites. Now this is a law which Moses set before the sons of Israel. These are the testimonies and the statutes and the judgments which Moses spoke to the sons of Israel when they came out from Egypt across the Jordan, in the valley opposite Beth Peor, in the land of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who lived in Heshbon, whom Moses and the sons of Israel struck down when they came out from Egypt. And they took possession of his land and the land of Og, king of Bashan, the 2 kings of the Amorites, who were across the Jordan to the east toward the sunrise, from Aroer, which is on the edge of the valley of Arnon, even as far as Mount Sion, that is Hermon, with all the Arabah across the Jordan to the east, even as far as the sea of the Arabah at the foot of the slopes of Pisgah. And that's going to conclude our reading from the biblical text. Now the devotional. Sin is fundamentally idolatrous. It always puts something in God's place as the functional ruler of your heart. It was weird and creepy to me. I didn't want to be there. I wanted to run outside and escape the spiritual darkness that enveloped that place. I was looking down at a Hindu priest, lying flat on his stomach with his arms and legs stretched out. He was lying in a posture of complete surrender and submission before an idol carved out of wood by human hands. He seemed to be emotional and in awe. It seemed as if he stayed in that position for an eternity. I wanted to yell at him, "It's just a piece of wood." I wanted to reach down and yank him off the floor. I wondered what it would take to convince him that this idol was not a god, that it could do him neither harm nor good because it lacked life. The harm came from surrendering his life, his heart, life, hopes, and dreams to this inanimate object. In this sin-scarred world, which does not function as God intended, idolatry is a very present danger. Idolatry is not just about how an idolatrous culture influences us. It's a matter of the heart. As long as artifacts of sin are still present in us, our hearts will be prone to wander. Idolatry always credits something other than God for what only God can do, causing us then to surrender to it our thoughts, desires, choices, and actions. The catalog of potential God replacements is endless. So it makes sense that as Israel entered the promised land, Moses warned them against this clear and present danger. Watch yourselves very carefully. Since you saw no form on the day that the Lord spoke to you at Horeb out of the midst of the fire, beware lest you act corruptly by making a carved image for yourselves in the form of any figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any animal that is on the earth, the likeness of any winged bird that flies in the air, the likeness of anything that creeps on the ground, the likeness of any fish that is in the water under the earth. And beware lest you raise your eyes to heaven, and when you see the sun and the moon and the stars, all the host of heaven, you be drawn away and bow down to them and serve them. Take care lest you forget the covenant of the Lord your God, which he made with you, and make a carved image, the form of anything that the Lord your God has forbidden you. For the Lord your God is a consuming fire, a jealous God. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verses 15 through 19 and 23 and 24. The danger of surrendering our hearts to something other than the Lord is great. Let me read that again. The danger of surrendering our hearts to something other than the Lord is as great for us as it was the children of Israel. May we be warned and comforted by the holy jealousy of our Lord, who will not share our hearts with anyone or anything. And may we remember that Jesus came to free us from idols so we would bask in the freedom and blessings of what he is for us and what he will provide for us. Let's read Jeremiah chapter 2, verses 26 through 28. As the thief is shamed when he is found, so the house of Israel is shamed. They, their kings, their princes, and their priests, and their prophets, who say to a tree, you are my father, and to a stone, you gave me birth. For they have turned their back to me and not their face. But in the time when their evil comes, they will say, arise and save us. But where are your gods, which you made for yourself? Let them arise, if they can save you. In the time when your evil comes, for according to the number of your cities are your gods, O Judah. And that's going to conclude our reading this morning from the devotional time. And interesting reading and interesting thing to see there, especially that last reading there. Where are your gods, O Judah? And that can be asked of us. Where are the idols of your heart? Where are they when you truly need them? You know, we make idols of things of pleasure and leisure and things that we give greater importance than our God. And they'll fail you every time. And our God is a jealous God. He is a consuming fire. We are his, and he wants our devotion. I pray you're devoted to our great God. Hope you have a blessed day and give God the glory in it. Soli Deo Gloria.